Going to make bread tonight, something that we like to do around here. Super easy, super fast, it doesn't need any work or any baking skills, just a few simple ingredients. And before you know it, you have an amazing fresh baked loaf of artisan bread. So, 4 basic ingredients. Flour, yeast, I use pink Himalayan salt. You can use any kind of salt, sea salt, and hot water. And so what we're going to do, we're going to throw this all together and we're going to give it a good mix. Okay, so start with the flour. We're just going to dump it in. There's no sifting. I just used a whole wheat flour. You can use any kind of flour. I think the best type you can find is, if it says bread flour on the packet, you're good. So 3 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of instant yeast. You can buy it in those small little packs. I've got a jar of it. 2 teaspoons of instant yeast. Dump that in as well. Teaspoon of salt. Dump that in. And 1.5 cups of hot water. Dump that in as well. That's it. You just all your ingredients together and you give it a good stir. Takes just a couple of minutes and everything should be well mixed, well blended together. And when you've finished mixing, you should end up with a ball like this. It'll be fairly sticky. Don't worry about that. If you find it's way too sticky and you may have added too much water, just throw a little bit more flour in and give it a bit more of a mix. It's a very, very forgiving bread recipe. So at this point now, we're going to cover this bowl with saran wrap and we're going to let this dough sit for a couple of hours before we throw it in the oven. It's been 2 hours. The dough has risen. It's almost doubled in size. So now we just want to get it out of the bowl. Now it is pretty sticky, so it's good to have a scoop or a spatula or something to help get it out. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on the counter just to shape it up a little bit first. What I'm using here, it's a stone square dish. Some people use a Dutch oven. I don't have a Dutch oven, so what I do, I just use a square dish and I put some parchment paper in it and dump it straight in. That's it. So once the dough's in the dish, the oven's preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I've put a pie dish with some water in it just to help give a nice, just so that the crust stays fairly moist. The oven's preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'll give it about 30-40 minutes. I'll know when it's done when I give it a tap and it sounds like it's fairly hollow. So let's get it in the oven. All right, so 30-40 minutes, we'll see how the bread is.